Hello,
Hi. Hello,
how are
everyone.
you?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our community session. I'm excited to have each and every one of you here. My name is Arame Ibrahim. I'm the community lead for the Global XR Bootcamp Abuja, and we'll be sharing we're having some awesome XR content developers that'll be sharing their solution, their experiences with XR, and their insights so far. And in the next 45 minutes, we'll be having a wonderful and amazing friend, Jean-Eric. He's doing amazing stuff with AR, right? Especially open AR, and he'll be sharing his ideas and also his insights on that. So I'll allow him to do the introductions, and we'll get right into it. So welcome, Jean.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Arom, and thank you everyone for joining the session. And thanks to the Global XR Bootcamp for allowing me to talk about city-scale prototypes of an experimental open spatial web.
Great.
So, can you bring up the slides?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm doing it this way. I cannot do full screen because then I cannot see what's going on.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
fine.
the
So can
title
you
will
like
be.
tell us a bit about yourself? So
Oh
just
yeah. So I in my free time I've been volunteering as the managing director of OpenAir Cloud. It's a global non-profit organization that advocates for open data, standards, technology, and ethical best practices to connect the physical and digital worlds for the benefit of all. And OpenAir Cloud, we have been seeing an increasing number of members, individual members, and partner organizations over the years. You see some of them. You see some of them here.
yeah,
So before I'm gonna speak about the open spatial web, I want to take you on a journey back in time. So actually, almost exactly 30 years ago, in CERN, in December of 1990, there was a really important set of standards protocols and software tools that had been created and demonstrated to a small number of researchers and scientists studying particle physics. Uh, so one of their employees, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, he had been given time to work on an interesting project. He outlined that a year earlier, so we had the anniversary of the web last year. That's when the idea was made, but it was in 1990 that he was given time to work on this idea. And has actually been staying in an office drawer for many months without being worked on. So what he had been doing, of course, it was the initial version of the open web platform. He had come up with the HTML standard, how you could put URLs in there, and there was an HTTP protocol. He had created a web server that worked with the DNS, and then he also made a web browser, and everything ran on this next computer. This was the entire World Wide Web back in December of 1990, just one machine. So we're at the dawn of a new computing era, where we dramatically would change the way we humans interact with computers. It's a general change from flatware to spatialware. So everyone working with VR, they are sort of part of this, and everyone working with AR and all things in between. But I think it's wider than that. I'll come back to that. So interestingly, in 2017, Uri Inbar, some of you might know who this is. He came up with the term AR cloud. And that was his word for describing a real-time 3D map of the world that allowed you to persist content and have shared experiences And he envisioned that this kind of infrastructure would be more important than the Google PageRank and the social graph of Facebook. So we don't know exactly if his predictions are going to be true, but we're going to look at some AR cloud industry updates that I think we are seeing the start of the real world spatial computing era. Last year, our organization, we invited a lot of people from this industry to our very first symposium, and we presented this kind of overview of the structure of this kind of platform. At the very bottom, you have the real world, the real physical world made of atoms, and then you have a digital twin of that world. You want to capture all the kinds of geometry, the semantics, the relationships between stuff, the attributes of the real world. And you also want to use that map to localize in the real world. That is the fundamental part that enables everything else. And then on top of that, we envision a lot of layers of content and services and solutions. So we're not the only ones. OpenAI Cloud are not the only ones who are seeing this same picture. A few months later, a company called Magic Leap presented this branded version of this idea. They called it the Magicverse. It has the exact same physical world at the bottom, a digital world that represents everything in the real world. Then you can start to have layers on top of that. Only a few weeks ago, Facebook presented from their reality labs. They're working on something called live maps. And once again, it's the exact same concept. You have the two bottom parts here, location and index. The location is a localization. The index is the digital twin. And then you can start to layer content on top of that. And what you have seen is Facebook is investing massively. A large chunk of their R&D budget. It's a massive R&D budget. So at least $5 billion last year, and it is growing. They are investing more probably this year and more next year. And we see that from, go to, the slides are messing up a little bit here. Didn't want to go to the next slide. Okay. We see with Google, they have their Earth Cloud anchors. They've been working for many years on their visual positioning system. And they took it back from the market. They were working with some large companies and they pulled it. Then now they're bringing it back to the AR Core platform, but to a select group of early developers. Someone who might be more developer friendly, Snapchat, they did a really spectacular thing a few weeks ago. In London, in downtown London, there are a few city blocks that they have mapped and created a digital twin. And they had this really cool demo to demonstrate their local lenses, brand new technology, AR cloud technology. I'll try to show you a video here. Just jumping a little bit ahead. So the clue is that they have this pretty high fidelity digital twin of a few city blocks, gives you the geometry of the space. And now people can have a shared experience where they are seeing each other in the same experience and they are interacting with the real world. And you see the localization is very accurate. It's the paint, the virtual paint is being directly from the phones of each of the participants here. So I'm not going to show. This is a video from Qualcomm. The big idea is that like all the big companies are investing in this. Live maps from Facebook, AR Core, Earth Cloud Anchors, Google Maps from Google, ARKit location anchors, LiDAR from Apple's. we assume that there's going to be some glasses from Apple within a couple of years. Microsoft Azure Spatial Anchors. You also see this from the telcos. You see it from OEMs. It's all over the place, and it's tens of billions that is being invested every year. So we can sort of think of this as personally, I'm very happy about to see all these investments, but there are some problems. So the really big problem is that they are doing it in entirely different ways. So every company is building their own platform, and that platform doesn't work with the other platforms. So you want to be a content creator, okay? What should you do? I'm going to make one for the Google platform, one for the Apple platform, one for the Microsoft platform. And I have to abide by the business model of that platform. And I have to accept how they are treating maybe sensitive data. So there are a lot of unresolved issues that is very different from what I would think people really would like to see. If you are a content creator, you want to make your stuff available to the whole market. You don't want to have to do all the hassle of going to every different platform. Like you could on the web, you just put up a web page and distribute that URL, and everyone can look at that content from any device. And that is a much better kind of way to make this spatial computing future better for all. But the biggest problem in OpenAir Cloud's view is the lack of emphasis of how you take care of the type of sensitive reality capture data. This technology relies on cameras, LiDARs, GPS, a lot of stuff that gathers data that could be detrimental for you to leak out, or for a business to have it leak out, or to a government to have it leak out. And currently this is not solved, but that is exactly what the community of OpenAir Cloud is working on. So from the very beginning, we emphasize privacy. So we launched, at the day we launched our organization, we launched with a privacy manifesto. Also, we put together working groups, and that topic has been given quite a lot of emphasis in this State of the Art Cloud report, a document that was put together by about 40 people in our working groups. You can download that from our web page. So we're also very focused on the security aspects and accessibility aspects. We're not trusting the big companies to address all those topics properly. So that is part of what we're working on. In October last year, we had a symposium. This was our 1-year anniversary. We had the first AR cloud artwork over the venue. But importantly, we launched or announced our work on the Open Spatial Computing Platform. A reference Open Spatial Computing Platform. Now, I'm going to, as I told earlier, I want to take a bigger picture view. There's this word convergence, where different technologies come together to enable something that is quite spectacular. If you have different exponentially advancing technologies, and then they converge together, you see some interesting thing happens. So one point of convergence for a number of technologies, not just in the AR, VR industries, but for a lot of real-world spatial computing technologies, I would say it's real-world spatial computing. So right now, these areas of technologies are not very interoperable. They don't work together. So when we want to make interoperability work for AR, why not just make it work for all kinds of real-world spatial computing technology? So that's why we think of this platform as a more general platform than just for AR, VR. So here's the top-level overview of the components. This mirrors the structure of the web. You have a few standards, a few protocols, some core services, some clients, implementations. Together, this becomes a complete platform. So to make it a little bit more accessible, what it's all about, it's basically three core things. You need to know where you are in the real world, or where your devices are, or where stuff is, or where virtual content is. So a highly accurate geospatial position and orientation with 6 degrees of freedom, we call that geopose. That is the most essential fundamental part of the platform. And then we want to have the machine readable world. So all the geometry, semantics, the relationships of your physical reality, we want to make that into a machine readable form. Hopefully we'll arrive at something, a form of reality modeling language that all systems can understand. Now, when you have created this fundamental infrastructure, then you could make what is really interesting. You could start to layer content and services and solutions on top of the real world around where you are. Not just an abstract place in cyberspace, but in the real world. I want to dwell a little bit more on geopose, geospatial pose. There are a lot of anchors out there in the AR cloud industry. Some of them are geospatial, like the Google ones. We see them from Apple, but some, like the ones from Microsoft, the Azure Cloud Anchors or Azure Spatial Anchors, they have no place in a global frame of reference. So they don't work well together or across different systems. You have to be up close to those anchors. Then you have very accurate relocalization of content or device. But we think it makes more sense to have a shared frame of reference. That is the best way for long-term persistent objects. It's better for autonomous vehicles and robots. It also fits well with the location-based technologies and platforms out there. Like everything you do with the GPS on your phone, the maps, the ride-sharing apps, it relies on that geospatial frame of reference. So why throw all of that away when you're going into the real-world spatial computing era? We have been successful in advancing this to one of our partner, the Open Geospatial Consortium. There's a standard working group within the Open Geospatial Consortium that is working on a universal standard for geopose. And we've been working on that since January. And now we're closing in on a draft specification that could be released to the public. So in general, it's important for our organization to make standards converge. We don't want to add to the complexity of standards, make something that already exists. What we want to see is where there are missing standards or where we can try and bring standards efforts together. So that's why we're working with organizations like the ETSI and OGC. We are in close contact with W3C and the Cronus Group, where we're speaking with a number of working groups within those organizations. That's a really key central element. So, okay, we're working on a platform, we're working on standards, that's all great. But if you have standards and platforms and nobody's using it, what is the value? So to address that specific thing, we are super happy that this August we started our first city-scale test beds in 2 European cities. So one is being run by our partner Augmented City in Bari, Italy, and the other one is run by Immersive, another of our partners in Helsinki, Finland. There are lots of exciting stuff going on. In Bari, you have 100 square kilometers of area where you can localize using GeoPose, and we are seeing some really exciting innovations. We saw something from a friend of mine who works on something called Bubico Food Tours, and he's working on what he calls Spatial Cinema. And Spatial Cinema is shared geospatial animated content that is synchronous, so you could look at it in the same time, so you could see characters moving around in your city the same time as somebody else is looking at it, and you have the whole city as your playground, as your canvas, and that's sort of beautiful, because when the first web page was created, it was a page of text with some links in them talking about technical concept. But with this kind of platform, we're actually starting out with a new form of art that the world has never seen. So the main purpose of the test beds, we want to see if the platform actually works as intended, and we want to iterate rapidly on the designs of the platform with real-world feedback. And importantly, we want to check if people, businesses, and local governments really want it. Do they think that this is useful for them, or is this just something that is cool for people within our industry? We need to look for evidence that there might be a platform market fit. If we don't find that, we should reconsider. We should maybe redesign or rethink some of our assumptions. So that is really essential. Regarding getting the core technical stuff up and running, we're still in the early phases, but we do have spatial content discovery and spatial service discovery. We have the protocols, we have the services running, we have a GeoPose protocol, we almost have compliant GeoPose services. They are currently at the level where they give you a GeoPose, but we haven't arrived at the full compliance with the current version of our GeoPose protocol, but that could happen within a few days. We're also seeing a great open source project that was initiated by one of our volunteers, relying on WebXR to allow you to connect to this open spatial computing platform from a browser client. It's just a web app, and it connects with these services, and you could bring up content that is registered on the spatial content discovery service, or other things as well. So you see there's a lot of red dots, and we hope that some of them will soon turn green, yellow and green. And the more people that are involved, the faster we can work on these things. We think this effort now is something that really could address this problem of the entire AR industry. We see a lot of people using lenses, like for the camera face lenses. I don't do that as much, but some of the people younger than me do that quite a lot. But that's not the kind of AR future that many people in our industry really hopes for. We think we can do something way more interesting than just the face lenses. But currently we see that the brunt of the investments goes into the devices. We see a lot of patents from the big companies. We see a lot of hires from people working on optics. These things are essential. We really need some great AR glasses in the future. But currently we have smartphones that are decent AR devices. They are sort of, I feel it's a bit like the blind spot of the industry. There's so much money going into the device side and maybe some of the infrastructure thing, but that's not really driving in the users, and that's really not inspiring developers or content creators to make great content. So with this kind of platform that we're working on, we hope to solve this chicken and egg problem and get something that will be interesting for users, because now currently suddenly there could be a lot of interesting premium content or high value, very useful services and applications available across any device. If that happens, then the investments going into the devices becomes a lot more worth, and you get a much more interesting and useful ecosystem for the users, and you got a much greater market for the content creators. So we're sort of addressing these 4 core target audiences, and you can walk through them. We have our industry corner here, the OSCP service providers. Those could be companies creating geopose services, reality services, spatial discovery services, but also it's the telcos and the edge compute providers. So that could be your normal provider of 4G, now maybe looking more into the 5G. And now there's this technology that really benefits from 5G. The kinds of use cases, really high-end use cases that you could power with 5G would make this very interesting for telcos if they understand this opportunity. The same goes for providers of edge computes. It could be like the NVIDIAs or the Amazons or the other cloud. Microsoft is in this area. You have many of the large companies that are looking into edge compute. They should look into this kind of platform and see how it could benefit their business. Obviously, the end users, customers, those are normal end users, and there's enterprise, commercial, professional users, students, first responders. On the other side, you have those who want to create content for this kind of technology, who currently are stuck with some sort of. We see game engines are sort of the glue that people rely on to get their content to different platforms. It's a bit contrived because not everything you want to create is a game. It's better to have something that is more directly. You have your content, you have your apps, just put it right there out there on an open platform, rather than trying to use some sort of engine that publishes to different proprietary walled garden platforms. So we want to inspire content creators and developers to look into our platform. And then there are the OEMs, those who are making devices. And obviously it's AR devices like smartphones and glasses, but it's also IoT sensors, autonomous vehicles of different types, robots that could also connect to this platform. As we have started our test beds, we see that not only the things that are in blue that are parts of the original target audience, but we also identify that smart city initiatives could be a really great target audience. We also see the platform as a great R&D platform to develop the next era of spatial computing technologies. To have an open platform rather than proprietary platforms makes a lot of sense. And we also see the distributed nature of the technology. Our platform is designed to be very distributed, not centralized. And also that's the way to solve a lot of the privacy security issues, to have really tight regulations of how the data flows in the systems. You can leverage the decentralized nature of the technology to do that. That brings in a new opportunity for local governments and businesses to have more control of their digital future and have more of a saying, and have a lot of new opportunities that they couldn't maybe imagine when the big tech companies were running everything. So looking forward, we're now in this phase 1 of our plan, the initial 1-year test beds. We hope maybe to add some test beds to that. You look at the time, yeah. So we hope by the end of this first year of test beds, where we will experiment on the open spatial web, we might have some use cases that people or different stakeholders have been exposed to, and where they have given us the kind of feedback to see if we actually do have a platform market fit, if really we really are working on something that is of interest. And if that is the case, if we really are onto something, then we think we should bring together a sort of consortium or alliance of people from the industry, content creators, smart city initiatives, universities, to develop this initial version of the platform into one that is really solid, really battle tested, and really scalable. And if we can achieve that, to have this kind of very solid, scalable platform in place, then we're ready to make this the platform that we can scale across the world. A platform that we hope that could be developed into the open spatial web platform. Thank you. So I encourage you, everyone who's interested, to join OpenAI Cloud. You could join as a member. You can join as a partner. You can join our test beds. You could reach out to us if you want to start your own test bed in your location. You could even, you don't have to have a city test bed. You could actually have an industry test bed if you have an industrial facility and you want to try out this platform in an Industry 4.0 kind of context. That is also a potential use for this test bed. So now we have some minutes for questions and answers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. You did amazing. Great. So if you have questions, you could share in the comments section, and I have some questions actually. So
yeah,
I would. So my first question is, how do you feel AR cloud is going to affect our daily lives?
Can you repeat that?
Like, how do you feel AR cloud, like the potentials of AR cloud, how is it going to affect our daily lives?
Well, I see it as something that upgrades the physical reality. So it can potentially benefit every aspect of how we work, how we learn, how we communicate, how we interact with the physical worlds. Currently, the physical world is a world of atoms, but now it's transformed into something that is not just atoms, but it's programmable. It's brought to life with a digital layer on top of it. So you could have any kind of new type of solution, new type of experience. So one of my really favorite things that I hope to see, I mentioned this opportunity to create new forms of art. We have only scraped the surface of that. So imagine a local city, the government and the tourists, what do you call it? You have the tourist industry of that city. They ask or they commission a group of artists to create something for some locations within their city. Maybe there's a historical place, maybe it's a beautiful park, maybe it's the central square. And you can have people working on visual arts, people who are actors, poets, musicians, AI artists, bringing all kinds of existing art forms together, together with those newer types of art that are responsive to like interactive, just like in computer games. And now this is something that the world has never seen before. And imagine now there's a free version of that. You can only experience that kind of experience by going there. So that makes this whole city more attractive to tourists, and you will have people coming from far to experience it in that location, and that benefits the local industry, like the restaurants, the hotels, the taxi drivers. But it's also a benefit for local artists or local technologists. Suddenly they have a new source of revenue and income because there's a free version of the content, and maybe there's a even more premium version of their experience that you can pay for with digital transactions. And you go there and you pay for it and you have that experience. So that is just one example, but this can enhance all aspects of like practical infrastructure, construction, city planning, mobility. So there's really no limit on. You can look at the World Wide Web. What is that for? It's for everything. It's for everyone. It's for every business, and it's the same thing for this kind of technology.
Great. Okay. Another question is, how best do you think developing nations, right, can quickly adopt AR cloud?
Yeah, I think this is a great, just like you saw with the mobile, when mobile technology sort of jumped across instead of rolling out copper wires all over the place, you just set up the telecom masts, and people had all over the world access to the World Wide Web and became part of the global community. There's no reason why this couldn't be repeated for this technology.
Okay.
So the big hindrance right now is the cost of the devices, right? And it's so expensive to like buy a new iPhone, or maybe in a couple of years, if there's some AR glasses that is attractive for end users, they're likely going to be quite expensive. But the good thing is that a technology like 5G can enable the devices to be much more low cost. So you actually only need to have edge compute and 5G infrastructure in place, and that's more lightweight, I would think. It's does favor urban location. It does favor like dense population areas rather than the countryside. But even in the developing world, even in Africa, you see a higher portion of people living in cities, and they will likely benefit from these technologies quite more earlier than you might expect.
Yeah. It would be great to have such technologies in Africa, right? And I can't wait to actually experience it or even use it. Right. So my next question is, can AR cloud be accessible on all devices?
Yeah,
Or
that is the general idea. Just like you have the World Wide Web, which has standards and protocols. The HTTP protocol works for any device.
okay.
And we envision that these new protocols that we make for real-world spatial computing, like the GeoPost protocol, or a protocol for accessing a machine-readable world, or to access spatial content records or spatial service records, that's not tied to any kind of proprietary platform. It's not tied to any specific type of device. So it should work across everything. That is a fundamental design principle of this platform.
Okay, thank you. So some couple questions are remaining. Um, so what do you think are like most impactful use cases of AR cloud?
Yeah, I gave you one with the art. I think in education you will see a lot of really impactful when the whole world becomes your educational platform.
Mm,
You everything, you can bring up information about everything around you. So you see a flower, you see a building, you see an animal. Uh, you want to learn about physics, you can bring up physical experiments that are virtual but they appear as they are real. So I think it's these types of technologies will greatly enhance learning. So this will be great for the next generations and also for continuous learning. That is super important when the world is changing, technology is changing so fast.
yeah, that's true. So I believe we are looking at healthcare, education, and if possible, tourism.
Tourism, yeah. A lot of things related to mobility, smart transportation, smart cities,
Yeah,
making like these kinds of new products and services that you create that are digital, they will have a smaller impact on the environment as well. So you can make buildings smarter and the whole infrastructure smarter, and make it easier for people to make the right kinds of decisions and have optimal impact on the environment, so or reduce their impact on the environment. There are many potential avenues where this technology can be really impactful.
yeah, true. So so currently, right, AR experiences are more like short form, right, and are not long term. So how can
Yeah.
AR cloud make it better?
Well, one thing is that the experiences tend to be most of what has been made for AR today is one-off kind of things. You pull up your AR app and you do some stuff, and when you
That's
turn off your app and you turn it back on, everything is gone. That is
yeah,
something you definitely you install that with geopose and anchoring content in the real world. So the AR cloud will help experiences be multi-user and tied to the real world in a persistent way. That allows for, I would say, 1,000 times more use cases than those one-off kinds of use cases. And the extra use cases you gain will be much more valuable and useful. So it's really it's a what do you call quantum leap or 10x or 100x improvement in what you were able to do and how useful it will be.
great, great. So last question, what are your projections for the future of AR cloud?
Yeah, I imagine we'll see a couple of years where the big players
Yeah,
behave according to their current business plan, and they look at this whole opportunity as almost like like an imperialist play. Like you want to grab as much as you can of this thing for yourself and
yeah,
have everyone on your platform.
yeah,
And you could run your business, you could make some money, have some revenues doing that. Um, but in the longer run, it's not scalable. It's contrived, and people will be frustrated. The end users will be frustrated by having all these platforms not working well together. So that is why it's very important now that we're building momentum for this more, I would say, the obvious way to do it the right way, to make an open platform like the web. Uh, Over time, as we are working on doing this in the real world, we're getting more people involved. We can demonstrate that this alternative scales better. It allows for better better economic opportunities and would make the whole industry just bigger and more adapted to what we really want from it.
great. Great. I guess the future is gonna be great.
Yeah, well, it's no guarantees. This is sort of, we could go down really dark path
Yeah.
where if we don't care about privacy and security, it's what you see going on in China, where everyone is being monitored. You have a social credit score for each individual. You could definitely use this kind of technology for this digital prison where everyone, if you allow organizations like governments or these really big tech companies to aggregate all this data in real time using machine learning to analyze everything, it's too much power, and it's likely to be abused if nobody's fighting back against that. So it's really important that people are aware of those risks. It's no guarantee that we end up at the happy scenario, but I'm an optimist, so I think we can do this.
You have to be positive. Hopefully. Great. So
Well,
sorry.
yeah, well, yeah. Are there any more questions?
No, I'm done with questions. No
Yeah.
questions yet.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time,
Thank you so
and
much.
please just join us and participate in our work.
Amazing. Well done.
Okay. Live long and prosper.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining the session. We have two more speakers going to share their experience with XR and also content development. And we'll be having our next speaker coming up in the next 5 to 10 minutes, right? So please stay on the call, on the video, right? Thank you so much for joining in. Hi everyone. Sorry for the delay. We're having some technical difficulties, but we are back. Right. So thank you for joining our community session. Our next speaker is an amazing 360 VR content developer. He's a cinematographer, and he just finished a partnership with Facebook. Right. And I guess he's doing great. Yeah. So I'll be adding him up on the stream.
You
Hey,
hello.
hi, Tiago. How are you?
Good.
Awesome, great to have you.
Thank you.
Great. Sorry about the technical issues you had. Can you hear me?
Sorry, your audio.
Oh, okay. I said sorry about the technical issues you had. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's still a little scratchy.
Can you hear me? I
Still a little.
from your end.
Is my end okay?
Can you hear me?
Hold up. Oh man. Let me try the audio. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh man. Okay. Okay, I can hear you better now.
You can hear me better.
Yes.
Fine, great. So, thank you for joining the community session. I appreciate your time, and would love you to share your experience with 360 VR content development and your journey so far, and tell us about your content capture for the George Floyd protest, which you did, and which was amazing. So, you could share.
uh. Okay. So the George Floyd
So
protest footage
before,
that I shot. I pretty much shot it because
can you hear
I feel like it's a story that needs to be told. I
me?
also feel like in this point of where XR and immersive storytelling is, that it's essential for stories like this to really catapult the industry, but also bring awareness to what we as Black people in the world go through on a day-to-day basis, and with virtual reality or immersive storytelling as an empathy machine, why not tell the story the best way possible with an immersive experience where somebody who isn't my skin tone or my color can put on those goggles and be in that experience at that protest. It was also my first protest. So, like many others who've never been to a protest, they can really get an understanding of what a protest looks like from a first person experience.
Great. Thank you. So first of all, can you like introduce yourself, what you do, where you're from, and how you got started with XR?
Okay. So my name is James Tiago Bertrand. I'm a cinematographer, immersive storyteller, an innovator, really. I'm always trying to think ahead of what's the next thing. And um, I'm from Orlando, Florida. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2013, and I started working for the networks, doing freelance cinematography. Actually, my first independent project was based around the Trayvon Martin situation that happened a couple years ago in 2016. So my work has always catered to our people in some capacity, in some medium. So now in 2020, this was just another way for me to bring awareness about us in general. And here we are. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry, my mic was mute. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you
Yeah.
now.
So can you share like more insight about what everything VR is about?
Yes. So everything VR is of course everything VR encompasses the virtual reality world. Right now, it's an immersive production company. It's an immersive production company, and we're branching off into other parts of the world. Everything VR, short for everything virtual reality, is exactly that. Immersive virtual reality, gaming, healthcare. We'll be tapping into all of those markets, with partnerships, and everything VR fund. We'll be funding education. So, yeah, everything VR pretty much encompasses the whole industry. That's
Amazing.
the goal with everything VR.
Yeah, amazing. So how did you get how did your journey into XR began, sorry.
Did you say how did I get started?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in 2016, I had a friend who introduced me to immersive experiences in VR just in general, and it was around December 16th, 2016. And ever since then, I just never looked back. You know, um, the whole thing about life and just how things progress in industries, etc. One thing is that they all evolve into something bigger and better. So
Yeah.
that's what the ideology that I took with just anything that I do. So with this, or when I say with this, I mean with immersive storytelling, even just from a marketing standpoint, everything VR pretty much can cover the whole bases, all bases. It can cover it from education to entertainment to whatever. So yeah.
Amazing. Like I remember when you shared your thoughts with me concerning the Everything VR platform, like spreading all across the world and especially coming to Africa, right? And having a platform whereby 360 VR content developers could share their resources, share their knowledge, even share their content to the global audience, right? So that's amazing. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's connected. It's connected us a lot. Even like I shared with you earlier today. You introduced me to a whole nother software. Like there was certain things in the XR world that I haven't been introduced, not that I haven't, but I didn't really know that was out there, until we started connecting in the virtual world, really getting an understanding, of just how big the community is.
Yeah,
So, like you said, I'm branching out. Yes, everything VR is going to be branching out very, very soon because that's just what has to happen. It's the time, quarantine's going on, and people have to get it out there. And the only way to really get it out there right now is through immersive experiences. Those immersive storytelling techniques that we adapt from a 2D aspect now into a 3D, 360 gaming aspect, with Unity, all those type of engines that give us pretty much another world that we can tap into outside of this physical world.
yeah, great. So I'll be sharing a project by Tiago, right? He covered a protest, one of the George Floyd protests in America, and it's amazing, like being immersed within that space and having the feeling of what everyone was actually going through at that moment. That's the power of VR, right? So I'll be sharing my screen and also the content. So this is a 360
Yes.
VR
So
protest.
Yeah, so in this moment right here, as you can see, I was pretty much on the front line of the protest. And, you know, it was a very hostile situation. Yeah, as you see, I'm right there, like right in the middle of it. I just really wanted to give people that experience of being front line. Like I said, it was my first protest. So I was pretty much going from the ideal of if this is my first time, or if I wanted to show somebody what a protest looks like, what would it be? You know, what would it look like? Where would I be? What vantage point would I want to show somebody what a protest looks like? When I tell them, you know, the cops were pushing, you know, there was stuff on fire, you know, the white girls were getting in front of me to pretty much shield me. You know, when stuff like that, you can talk about it, you can show it in 2D, but to really be there in an immersive experience, that just takes it to a whole nother level. And that was my purpose, that was my goal, and I'm blessed that I got that across and I'm able to share it with the world.
Great. I must say you were very. It's amazing because the experience at that moment must be like overwhelming, especially for you. How were you able to stay composed, like stay focused on capturing the content?
um it wasn't, I think I heard you, sorry, it kind of broke up, but it wasn't my whole thing with capturing the content. It was more so, like I said, it's from a directing standpoint, you know, from a producing standpoint, it really was to get the message out. So I was just being, I was in the moment. Like, as you can tell, I was everywhere. I was in the front and center of every situation almost. And
Yeah,
I took myself out of it because I felt like it was supposed to be bigger than me or what I'm trying to capture. You know, it was more so, this is a moment in history that people will look back and they will ask, why did the CNN Center, why did they relocate from the CNN Center right after that? You know,
mm,
what was the history behind this? And when they can see the history for themselves in a first person experience, what more what more can you ask for
yeah,
other than an experience from your own personal self? All I'm doing is setting you in that situation. It's up to
yes,
you. You have 360 degrees to look from, to pick from, to, you know, get some type of experience from.
true, true. Basically, give my own perception in regards what happened.
You, can you say
Did you
that
hear me?
again, please?
I said the overall goal is to give an immersive experience to people that were not physically there and to understand what actually happened exactly at that time.
Yes, yes. That's because, think about it, as you know, a lot of people are inside, they're being very cautious, you know, but in the same time, there's a lot of civil unrest going on, there's a lot of protests, there's a lot of unjust going on. So, yeah, giving people that experience where it doesn't, you know, it's not manipulated by the media. You know, you can't misconstrue this truth. You can't edit a piece out of this. You if I show you 30 seconds of my reality in that moment, that's my reality in that moment, and it's up to you, like in real life, to decipher what it is that you got from that moment.
Mm, true, true. That's true. So you recently covered the U.S. election, if I'm correct.
Yes.
What was the goal of the project?
Wait, you said what was the goal?
Yeah,
The goal of the goal of that project, sorry, it's kind of going in and out. Yeah, the the goal of that project, you know, was to really, you know, get the message, for people to get the message, for people to understand that XR, where it's headed, it's going to change society and how we look at marketing, how we look at the way we live, how we communicate, all of that is the goal for me. Like, I'm really trying to push this because I personally feel like the same way it changed my life and it changed somebody else's life who's never seen something of that nature is going to open up other people's other people's brains to be more, to be more everything virtual reality.
To be more everything VR, I guess.
Yep.
Amazing. Okay. Um, I would ask, what keeps you going? What motivates you?
What motivates me?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I would say what motivates me is the fact that this is a new frontier, and it's not really new to me, but it's new to a lot of people that are just now becoming consumers of the product. The people that also motivate me, you know, the other black entrepreneurs and the other black storytellers in the XR world. You know, you got, I'll just name a few. You know, there's like GRX Lab. You know, there's GRX Lab. You know, there's the guys Black Rhino. You know, there's people like you know, who are really out here trying to push it. You know, there's there's so many different people and so many people of color that are out here really trying to take this to the next level. And I feel like if I'm able to help connect or, you know, make it happen, then that's what motivates me because I've been doing it for so long that, oh, okay, so you're trying to learn how to do this. All right, well, this is how we need to do this. Like, you know what they say, each one teach one. So my blessing's going to come. Like, I'm not worried about that because I feel like my purpose and my motivation for what I do isn't selfish. It's more so I want to make sure that my people are ahead of the curve. I want to make sure that my people get the opportunities that I wish I had when I was younger. And granted, I'm only 25, but I'm real. I'm real like, let's get it, you know? So if I could have learned about shit technology at a younger age, like really tech at a younger age and understanding what it's used for, man, you know, I would be on a whole nother level. And I know there's so many other people, even from where I'm from. I'm from Pine Hills, Orlando, Florida. Like, a lot of us, we don't get those opportunities. So I felt like I got the opportunity and I got to take it to the max and bring it back to my people. So that's why I like stuff like this, where I can talk with you about XR, you know, and how to really do things and other people. It's a purpose behind it. It's a purpose that I feel like my people are not gonna miss out on.
Yeah. I feel you. Great. So, who do you look up to? Like, who inspires you within the XR industry?
Who inspires me in the XR world? I would say, there's somebody that I actually worked with this weekend. It's a black entrepreneur. He's an innovator himself. His name's Alton Glass, and he really motivated me to really step my game up and really step my game up. Amanda Shelby, you know, people like them who really told me in the beginning, it's like, look, if you're gonna get into this, you're gonna get into this. Like, this is gonna be something that, you know, you're gonna have to put your all into. So in those times, I already had it in my head, like, no matter what, I'm gonna keep at it. No matter what, I'm gonna figure it out. And you know, that's what I'm doing. And you know, everything comes full circle. You know, now it's like, okay, I understand what I gotta do. I understand my purpose. I understand it's bigger than me. And the same way that they inspired me to continue doing what I'm doing and taking up spaces that we're not allowed in, or not that we're not allowed in, but it's hard to get into. You know, if hey, look, if we got to break that motherfucker down, we gonna break it down. Just that simple. And that's what we doing. And we gonna break it down on a global scale. So yeah.
Great. Um, so from our conversations, right? You started off as a traditional videographer, right? And you now switched into 360 VR? What made you switch?
Um, what made me switch? What made me switch was it was very simple, man. I just wanted to do bigger things. I wanted to do bigger things. Like I felt like I was blessed to work on projects, that really challenged me in the 2D space. And with what I was doing and the level that I was doing it at, with the people I was doing it at, I'm just like, okay, what's my next move? What's my next move? What's gonna really take me to that next level where I feel challenged, and not challenged because it's a different artist or anything, but like challenging me where I'm getting our story out on a whole nother level. I want to make people feel something like they've never felt before. So that's really what geared it towards that. So it's a part of it. And I don't know, I just like immersive experiences because I'm letting you tell I'm letting you tell the story the same way you saw how when you brought that 360 video up and you you moved the way that you wanted to, you know whatever you felt in that moment was worth seeing. You moved your eyes in the direction that you felt, you know
Sure.
you were walking down the line. I was like, oh, maybe turn left a little bit. You see all the cops, or somebody wants to see all the people. Or like you did, you split the difference. So even with that little moment, those little moments really decide somebody's perspective. And now I see what you were looking at when you were looking at it from your perspective.
Right.
So
Mm,
yeah, you literally see somebody else's perspective for once.
right. Um, so with your experience so far, right? What would you advise anyone who wants to get started with 360 VR? What would you advise you do?
Can you say that one more time, please?
What's your advice to anyone that wants to get started with 360 VR?
Okay. So my advice for anybody that wants to get started in the 360 VR space is just do it. Just do it. And I mean just do it as in don't don't let people's expectations hinder your creativity. Don't not Right now this industry is so open. This industry is so open that all you have to do is create and do it with a purpose. Even if your purpose is to not have a purpose, like create. Because the way that I created the protest footage, I literally bought that camera. That camera came in the same day that I went and shot the footage. I didn't know how the footage was going to turn out. I just went and shot because I knew that it was important. And whatever I had to do to fix it in post, I would have just had to do, But I knew that it's an immersive experience. So whatever experience you're going to get, you're going to feel it to some capacity. Whether you feel the shots are too dark and you feel like you wish your eyes had more light, or it was too shaky, but it was because of all that was going on. So really just shoot and don't hinder yourself. Try new things, be innovative, be great. Be great, man. Just be great. Like don't hold back and don't limit yourself, because the sky ain't the limit, man. There is no limit. There is no limit.
True. Okay. So what's your workflow like in creating the 360 VR content?
You said what is my work like?
Your workflow.
My workflow. Okay. So my workflow, is very. We have a method now. We've been working on it for years, but really, it's me and my editor Bert out in Belgium. So we have our time differences, and we really try to use that to our advantage. We use Mystica. We shoot with the Titan, so Mystica is gonna be the choice because that's just what it holds. You know, our workflow, as in for the stitching, yeah, we use Mystica. We haven't used Boutique yet, but we're gonna eventually end up getting Boutique. You know, live streaming. We just have our flow. We really just push it. Honestly, we just try new innovative things. You know, if you have somebody over in another country that you're working with, you know, how will you make it to where you can real time, you know, work with them, you know? So we have a couple different methods, but you know, right now we keep it real simple. You know, Mystica, actually that's the software that you introduced me to. You introduced me to. I appreciate that, man, because man, we was on auto panel and auto giggle and shutting down, man. You know, but that those type of collaborations, you know, like those webinars, you know, those webinars that you put us on, you know, like we really appreciate that because, you know, it just wasn't a thing that, you know, that I was introduced to, you know. So you introduced that to me, and now my whole team, like we're all editing on that. Like nobody doesn't know anything that the other person doesn't to in their lane. You know, they all know the basics of how to shoot, how to edit, how to sound design, almost how to produce. You know, so but that's just how I want my, you know, that's how I want my team. So yeah, it works.
Yeah, definitely works. Collaborations always work, right? So what's your best 360 VR camera?
Uh, I would say I honestly wouldn't say there's a best 360 VR camera, but I really do. I do like the Titan. And only reason why I like the Titan is because the whole goal is to get the perspective almost as close to the eye as possible. You know, so you know when you shoot 10K, you know, when you shoot that 10K stereoscopic 3D, you know, the clarity is just so grand. And I can't wait till the headsets catch up, honestly. I can't wait till the headsets catch up. But
Yeah.
the cool cams, those are good. You know, it really just depends on your you know what you're shooting. Because honestly, the $200 camera that I shot, the footage that went viral, you know, that was a camera that I just was like, I just need a camera to shoot. So I really don't think there's a best cam, but when you're talking about quality, I would definitely say the Titan.
Yeah,
The Titan.
and it's very pricey too.
And I may be a little biased because you know that's the camera that I use right now. So, but yeah, other than that, I feel like it's the Titan. But really, any camera that shoots with four cameras or more,
Mm,
four camera. I feel like the two cameras you're kind of cheating. You're kind of cheating. Like you have to really stitch, like stitch it, go through the whole process. Love the process.
great. So do you think sound is very important to an engaging and immersive 360 VR content?
You said, do I think sound is important?
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, so sound is sound is 50% of your project. You know, sound is 50% of your project. So, you know, I really feel like that ambisonic, you know, 8 channels, you know, really setting your sound design to really match your environment in the 360 experience. It just takes your sound design to a whole other level. That's the whole purpose, you know, with an experience. If there's fireworks going on, like in the visual that I showed, if there's fireworks going off in the left corner and you're facing right, you need to hear the left corner fireworks, even if you're facing right, you know, to give it that true experience. And that's just attention to detail, you know. So when you really master that and you understand that and you get the importance of why that is, like I said, the whole idea is to give people an experience that is pretty much virtually non not, you can't tell the difference, you can't decipher. That's the goal. So yes, it's extremely important. I advise people to have, that's spatial audio, that surround that's surrounding 8 channels, 4, 8, whatever you could do at that time, just do it.
Yeah. Great. So what's your projections for the future of 360 VR? Any innovative ideas, thoughts?
My projection for the future of VR and just ideas in general, man, is really just adapting to making the social norm, making it the social norm. That's my goal. Like, making getting people to understand why this software, why, this type of technology is revolutionary. We all see the power when we put somebody in a VR headset. When you see it, we all see it, and we see that the people that are really doing it, they understand, the power, the influence that it has with companies. You're not just looking at a 2D box, you're literally in that world. I want to see more marketing companies do it. I want to see these companies in Silicon Valley really grasping to it with their marketing pitches. I want to see global initiatives and immersive experiences so I can be out in Africa. I can be out in your country, in whatever experience that you want me to see in, because I can see it. I can be there without physically being there. That's so much powerful. That's powerful, you know? So that's where it's headed. And regardless if it's me doing it, if it's somebody else doing it, as long as it's getting done. And it's gonna get done regardless.
Yeah, sure, sure. So do you have any project in the works? Should we be expecting any new 360 VR content?
Projections, really, I honestly just feel like the experience is gonna get more better. The experience is gonna get more better. The hardware, is gonna get way more slimmer, way more slimmer. And a lot of people are going to want to get more into it. And actually, actually, I just want to give a special shout out to Facebook for my Oculus Quest. So a lot of these are going to be going, a lot of these are going to be in a lot more households really soon. They're going to be in the households really soon. So when that time comes and when it becomes mainstream, just like how YouTube is, where people just videotape. And they YouTube is pretty much the center for 2D, for 2D videos. So everything VR is going to pretty much be the center for everything virtual reality and immersive experiences and anything dealing with that.
Great, great. Should we be expecting any project from you anytime soon?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, it's a couple projects. I just did a project with Facebook dealing with the protest footage in protest. So be on the lookout for that. Can't I don't think I can talk too much on it, but yeah, there's actually a couple episodes now. On the headsets. So you can definitely look at that. And then when my episode or the episode with me and it does come out, I can't wait to share it. And shout out to my people at GRX and Oculus for Good, the In Protest crew, for that, because it's really there's a lot of experiences dealing with what's going on in society, and we got to highlight that, and I got to highlight that and show it to the world on one of the biggest platforms. So I'm thankful for that, and that's really the project right now. I got a couple projects with rap artists, uh, some real big rap artists right now. So I can't wait to release that when it does release, because I don't even think they understand like what 360 VR can do, or what it can do for the user. So getting that into the music is also my goal, because if you can get VR into the music world, it will just naturally adapt and take its own, because we all know music influences everything.
Yeah. Great. So thank you so much. Do you have any final feedbacks, any words of advice to anyone watching? Any thoughts?
Um,
Final thought?
yeah. I would say my word of advice are reach for the stars and never fold. Never fold. Never give up. People will say your ideas are crazy. People will say that, stick to what you do best. But if you're really a creative and you're really in this space right now, in this moment in history, just create and don't let anybody hinder you from that, because this is very new. It's very fresh. The only thing you can do to be wrong is to not do it. So stay focused, and it's a community out here that really genuinely loves to do this stuff because they love to do this stuff. So connect with people, don't be scared, and just keep creating dope shit.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiago, from Everything VR for joining in. I wish you the very best ahead, and can't wait to work
Thank
with
you.
you. Obviously, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Hey, thank you for having me, Global XR Bootcamp, and I appreciate it again, brother. We'll talk soon, man.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Amazing, right? So we're having our next speaker from cyberspace VR and also Fuse Technologies, and they are doing an amazing stuff with VR, especially VR game development. And I can't wait to have him share the amazing game they are currently developing. I'm one of their beta testers, and I must say the game is amazing. You should try it out. You should subscribe actually to their program and try it out. So we'll be going on in a few minutes, and have fun, obviously. So thank you so much for your time. Just hold on for a few minutes. Hi everyone, I'm back. Yeah, so great. Awesome. Welcome, Alicio. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot for inviting me, Aromet. I'm very pleased to be here with you talking about VR in general.
Great. So welcome to the Global XR Camp. So this is the Abuja chapter of the Abuja community session. First of all, to say thank you so much for joining us, and for also sharing what you're doing at Fuse and also Cyberspace VR. Right. Okay. So could you give us a brief introduction about what you do, where you're from, and also about your company?
Yeah, of course, Aromet. Thanks a lot. Yeah, my name is Alessio Rosildi. I'm the director of Fuse, and well, Fuse is a company that has been evolving through time. We started developing the digital services, and with the time, we have been constantly adding new technologies and new concepts to our offer So in a time, we had been evolving with visual aspects, from going from normal video to example things like video mapping and things that are more complex in the audiovisual areas. And from that point on, we started innovating and grabbing new technologies to use. Then at some point in 2016, we started working with VR. I got a Oculus developer kit, Oculus developer kit too, and it was a very enlightening moment for me because I realized the power and the engagement that virtual reality could deliver for lots of different aspects. And from that moment on, we started working on that. So we started working first. Tiny games, concept for companies that want to deliver fun and quick experiences for them. And from that point on, we started getting more complex in the concept of VR, developing sales tools, developing some training tools. So with VR, we have been doing lots of things, but of course, we had this need or this desire to create, of course, something that was more commercial, that was more not just delivering something for clients that already know what they want, but rather create something original that we could, of course, be proud of. And yeah, at the beginning, or sorry, at the end of last year, we have been developing some games, some advert games for some clients, and we realized that we had a little time and we had the opportunity to develop a game. So we started analyzing what kind of game could we develop. And at the first, we were developing a game that was based on rhythm, like games that have to do with music and everything. So we were doing something um, relatively similar to a DJ booth, but it was for a client, so it was something that was nice, but of course we wanted to do something else. So that's why we started analyzing what to do. And the first thing that we noticed in VR is what there weren't many VR tower defense games. So we realized that there were some, but they weren't as fun and as good as we thought they could be. So we started working on a VR tower defense game. And at first, it was just pure tower defense, right? So it wasn't, like in the board and putting the towers and everything. But with the time, we started realizing that VR had so many possibilities to bring more fun to the game. So one of the main reasons that I like VR is that you can be there, like in the action, moving and everything. So that's where we added the first-person shooter aspect. And from that point on, we started focusing more on creating a hybrid game that was fun, that was quick, that was fast. And yeah, that we have been doing lately, like working running with clients and at Fuse. But yeah, cyberspace, it's like kind of a dream, a game that we wanted to do.
Great. I can feel your passion, especially in regards content development. It's amazing.
Thanks a lot.
So, how's the journey been so far, especially for you and the team?
Sorry, I didn't hear well.
How has the journey been so far?
Oh, okay. Well, it has been something that we have been. I'm gonna also share my screen briefly, so I can also showcase a little bit of our campaign, because I think it's interesting for people to see a little bit of what we're putting here into perspective. Um, but well, what we have been doing is focusing a lot in bringing people to really spend a good time, having fun, and having these challenges that are evolving, right? So of course, we as a team we have been working together to divide. Of course, some people it's specialized in aspect of the enemies or aspect of the visual aspects. So as a team, we have been working together to create this concept. And of course, one of the main aspects that we want to innovate on here is the gameplay aspect. So for us, it has been something very interesting to find how people are using our game, how they are playing, how they are overcoming the challenges that they have. So for us, that is one of the main things that we push to do, like working together with our community, talking with them, hearing them, looking at their gameplays. So far, it has been a very learning experience, very educational for us. because of course we had the experience of developing several games, but now that we are in a bigger market, of course, worldwide, we have been receiving commentaries from people around the world, around the globe. So it has been very enlightening for us to have all these conversations and all these comments. So yeah, that's how it's been going so far.
Great, great. So about your current game, which is Cyberspace VR. Um, is it currently available on all platforms, or is
Well,
it in beta?
yeah, well, we have been focusing right now in the platforms that we have more access to because, for example, there are platforms that are very popular that we of course want to be there. Like for example, PlayStation. We think that PlayStation can bring us to a whole new set of millions even or of players worldwide. But of course, yeah, there's a process that has to be done to partner with PlayStation, be able to upload something there. So right now, what for example, that's the case of PlayStation. The case for example, for Oculus, delivering for the Oculus Quest was it's something that's quite difficult because we had to optimize a lot our game, and it will took us a lot of time. So we waited for the Oculus Quest 2 to launch, and now we're focusing on delivering a version for that platform. So to say, we want to have the more reach we can in all the platforms possible, but we have to be very strategic with that because it really costs a lot of time and money to be there. So right now, as we said, we support HTC Vive, Oculus Rift S, and Valve Index, but we will be surely in the future, in the near future, be supporting PlayStation and Oculus Quest 2.
Great. Um, Hopefully would have Cyberspace VR on all platforms, and users can download and also experience how amazing the gameplay is. Right.
Thanks a lot.
Um,
We hope that too.
yeah. So in regards community building, does Cyberspace VR have any plan to engage people, especially in content development?
Yeah, you're very good to ask that because yeah, having a community that drives your game further and of course teaches you more about the experience is very important. Right now, for example, our community has been growing good in several social media platforms. We also have our Discord server, and we have of course our beta testing program, which is a newsletter where we upload the updates of our game. But one aspect that we have been understanding right now and noting more and more from our community is that they want to play just for the sake of playing. We have been developing, of course, a lot of the aspects that have to do with the story and everything that has to come with the environment of our game. But we also have realized and we have found out that people are really really interested in the gameplay. They have even asked us for what's going to happen with the multiplayer mode, so a lot of people is very interested in that. So that is something that we are taking a lot into account, and of course it's something that we want to put more into perspective for the next year, because of course that's something that we have to work that a lot in the technical aspects. But yeah, cyberspace, it really has a community component that we have to grow, and we believe that with the multiplayer mode that we are working on, that we are developing, we will be able to take that community very further away, and make people really start connecting more with each other in the community, because they will be able to play against each other, or they will be able to have some teams or compete in a kind of tournament that we have in the future division to create. But yeah, as you said, the community, it's something that's very valuable for us. But of course, we have to deliver a good valuable game so they can be involved, and of course tell their friends to play with them.
Great, great. Um, does your team, especially Fuse, have any plans to venture into developing to the developing nations, right? And maybe grow like a fan base across those nations, especially getting started with VR?
Yeah, of course. Our team has grown, and we have been thinking about all the possibilities, and yeah, that is something that will be that will be a good choice for us. Of course, we have plans, of course, in the future. Our company, it's relatively small. I mean, we have been growing, but it's relatively small. So we, of course, have to analyze the situations worldwide to see what's the best course of action in these times is. So, of course, we have to define the strategy that we are uh, having this next year, because we realize that the pandemic and all this situation with COVID may be better, may improve, but still there's going to take a lot of time. But that's why we have to be cautious. We have been analyzing the situation very intensively, and yeah, but we are analyzing all the options.
Okay, great. So let me give you the time to share your slide and more information about the game you're building.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, you can.
Okay, is it there?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, thanks a lot. So yeah, as we said, the concept of the game has been to develop a very fun experience. This experience, of course, has to keep on evolving with the community that plays. But in the end, what we want to make people be immersed in is this sci-fi world where you are in the future, and of course, these concepts about what happened in these years are what are around you. So you really get involved in what happened, and you start figuring out your own stories about the future. And at the same time, you have a reason to be there. You have the reason to really conquer these challenges, to overcome these challenges. And there's a reason that there's a team that also works with you around. So that's a part of the story that we want to our players to get involved in. But yeah, that's something that is, of course, very complementary to the main aspect of the game, which is to have fun, to really have adrenaline, to feel the danger, to really start analyzing the aspects of the board that you have in your favor, which are not. So for our cyberspace, has always been um, thinking about delivering something that really makes people go for it. Change their mind, change their strategies. But in the end, it's players that really do what it's meant to be fun for us. Because for us, yeah, we can play a lot the game, but we have very few information about how people play it until we see it. So the game has been evolving. As I said, it really started with this construction mode that we started building about the tower defense aspect, but then the combat aspect of the game really turned to be, well, the main differentiator we think that we are adding here. Of course, we aren't building something completely new from the ground up, but yeah, we do believe that we are going to put several interactions and game mechanics that will change the way people play with it. For example, right now we have a very, so to say, very regular, so to say, gameplay in terms of what we're doing right now with the hybrid version of our game. But in the future, we do want to have something that goes beyond the normal interaction that you have in a tower defense FPS. For example, one aspect that we started building on that we are very happy with is the aspect of boss fights, because boss fights in this kind of games normally are charged with elements that are feeling the waves and represent themselves in the same waves that you're already playing. But having a different set of bosses that mess with the board or that really go beyond the board, we really want to bring players to really have another dimension of how they can overcome a challenge in our game. Uh, so to say, that is one aspect of the gameplay that we like a lot. And for example, we are of course working in the future with a multiplayer mode to deliver something that it's a little bit also innovative in terms of how you play, of how you defend, of how you attack. For example, we also want to bring this cyber pets aspect that will give you another dimension of how you can defend yourself or attack. So that's something that we are tinkering with. And of course, something like the voice commands that you may also find in our Kickstarter campaign stretch goals. It's something that we are also pushing through because voice commands is something that we think that it's going to be the future of several interactions in UX in general, not just in VR, but rather in also in smartphones or PCs. So yeah, being able to ask for reinforcements at your base, or for example, for a cyber pet of your own choose to be able to go to a part of the arena. It's something that we think that it's gonna change the gameplay possibilities in our game. So yeah, that's something that we do believe that is gonna be not game changing, but of course it's gonna bring something new, something fresh to the table. And yeah, after that, we of course want to bring a full experience with our game, so we can deliver a full campaign. Of course, a story that can be lived, that can be evolving with time as you play. But of course, that is something that it's not easy. It's hard to deliver all the details that we want to take into account and we want to take care of. So we're definitely looking to, of course, get more funds to sell the first aspects and the first versions of our game, so we can continue with the development. But we also believe that that's gonna be something that depends on our strategy, right? So on our marketing strategy, maybe of course we have to look out for publishers that can help us improve the penetration we have in several markets. But yeah, that is something that we're asking ourselves all days. So we hope we can deliver it. I don't know
Yeah.
if that
Sorry.
fits with the question.
Great. So, do you have any like a gameplay video we could go through?
But yeah, of course, of course. I'm gonna showcase briefly another video so
So,
people can understand.
when should we be expecting a full launch next year?
We have this early access version that will be available soon on Steam, hopefully at the beginning of next year. Um, but in the meantime, yeah, there's still the possibility of playing the game in the beta testing program. So that's something that we already been pushing a lot. But of course, we will launch at the end of the year like a more complete version that will be available to be purchased and everything.
Great. Okay, and hopefully we'll have it on all platforms and all devices.
Yeah, we hope that too. I'm sorry. Let me.
Fine.
It's in our. Mm,
So, are we expecting another game from the Fuse team anytime soon?
not really. I mean, we're focusing a lot in our current game. We still have to we still have to deliver it because it's been hard, as I said, for us to complete all the aspects that we are envisioning. Here's the game
Okay.
the video. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, right now we are not. I mean, if we develop other games, it will be maybe for clients or things like that. But for a game that is commercial, that it's gonna be sold, right now we're focused in cyberspace. We know that there's a long way still to go, and we have to, as I said, we have to improve our marketing. We have to work more with the media. We have to continue improving our game, our beta testing, have more streamers play it. So there's a long way still to go with this game, and we have been putting a lot of effort in it. So no, for the moment, I think we are going to focus in cyberspace.
Great, great. Um, Hopefully we'll see a more improved version of the game moving forward. And I can't wait to experience the full version of the game.
Thanks a lot. There's a lot of people that has also reached out to us to tell the same thing. We you don't know how thankful, how we appreciate the comments that come from around the world, because this is something that, of course, yeah, I mean, all companies do really want to, of course, make a buck out of a game that you develop, but really seeing people like you that we have to connect it to geography, very far away, and still being able to talk about something that we have in common. In this case, of course, that we are in the VR community, and of course that you liked our game, that you liked our concept. It's really that has a lot of value to us more than money, and having the opportunity to connect with people around the world. I'm very sure that will bring us more things that are worth more than money. They will bring us, of course, connections. They will bring us opportunities to develop other things. We are also very expecting to call the attention, to really stand out in the industry. So companies that need games or need things that are very compatible with the experience and the things that you need to develop games are gonna take notice of this. And of course, this will make us have more friends. It will make us have more clients, of course, of other aspects. And of course, will give us a lot of experience in what is to really sell a product that it's has to appeal audiences worldwide. Because for us, for our country, for our region, it's something that we might understand a bit, but as I said in our video, having people from Germany criticizing our game, people from Germany I have lived in Germany, and people in Germany, are very tough, very objective. They'll see a lot of details and technical things. So it has been a very valuable experience, and why and eye-opening experience for us to see people find all these concepts. And of course, very honorable and very appreciative from from our part, to have people that really cared a lot about the game, to even play it, to even share a video, to share their comments, even if they are criticizing our game. They took the time to do it, so we really appreciate that a lot.
Great, great. Feedback is very important, especially at this stage of your development. So, on a final note, any advice to maybe anyone that wants to start maybe a career in game development? What would be your advice to them?
Of course, thanks a lot. I would really like to point out that, for example, in my case, I know it's not the same case, because, for example, really myself, I'm not a developer. I direct a group of developers,
Okay.
but of course, I developed once. I started developing websites and everything. But what I can say to people is that, really, when you want to reach a goal, when you have a vision, you have a dream, it's really, of course, very hard, and you start to fantasize, and you start to realize that, yeah, this can be possible, and you have to start here and everything. But it's something that, for me, for example, my dream of building games, it's something that I had for many years, for, I don't know, 10 years, that I started my entrepreneur adventure. But it has taken so long until I could really create a game, because I don't develop. But if you develop, if you really like that and you really are into it, I would really push people, and that will be my advice, to really start developing, to really start seeing how people do this professionally. For me, my jumping point, the point where I really made a difference with my career, my professional career, was when I realized that I had to really go through with the real clients, to really be there talking with them, and really uh, understanding how it's done in the professional world. So the first time I developed a website or another digital service that I gave to a client, I really had to analyze how it was done in a professional setting and try to be the most professional I can. So in regards of developing a game, for example, for me it's the same. I mean, it's the first time we're developing a game, so it's the first time that we are understanding how it's done in the real world. So we have to understand and see other companies and analyze how they're doing it, how they communicate, how they present their ideas, their advances, everything. So my advice would be not to copy, but to really understand how this is done in a professional way. If it's gaming, if it's a VR training or anything that has to do with VR of any kind of development, really go benchmark what's been done in the industry, in the professional side. And if you are alone, if you don't have a team, are a small company, start with baby steps. For me, the first baby step was to create a very good looking website. So people realized or thought that I was a bigger company, but I was not. I was a small company. So really, people takes a lot into account with your image, how you look, how do you express yourself. So even if you are a lone developer, you're lonely, you are just one person, try to look as a team, try to look as a bigger company, try to look as a concept that is really pushing uh, a concept or really pushing a vision, because that will make people care, that will make people think that you are really in the right direction. And even if you're small, maybe they will give you the opportunity to think bigger. And sometimes for me, it was the first opportunity I made a bigger work or a bigger project. So that would be my advice,
Yeah,
around
just think big, I guess.
think big and have the right inspiration to have the path to reach it. Right? So
Thank you so much, Alicio, for sharing. It's amazing, like hearing what you guys are doing and what you guys are building. So I wish your team the very best, and I can't wait to experience the game. Hopefully next year.
thanks a lot, Rome. We'll keep you, of course, on the loop. We want to thank you, of course, everyone that reached this streaming, and of course you for organizing it. We're very happy that you have this movement and these positive actions for delivering more content and of course more education to people around the world in the XR industry. So thanks a lot. I'll be happy to of course impulse and improve all we can put on our side for your community. So thanks a lot, Rome, and yeah, good evening. Yeah, thanks a
Take
lot for
care.
your time.
All right, bye.
Yeah, you too.
Great. Yeah, an interesting 2 3 hours of insights, experiences, and also content development. So thank you so much for joining the Global XR Bootcamp, the Abuja committee session, and I hope you actually learned a lot from the 3 speakers that we had. My advice for newbies that want to get started with XR is to just push, believe in what you're building, believe what you're building is in need by someone around in the world actually. So just be positive, have a good vibe, build a team. You could build from your friends, right? Just build a team, and create something great, something that will change the world, right? Just create and push. So thank you so much. I wish you all the very best, and peace. Bye.